at one point in time, you probably asked yourself in your relationship, does loving you stop me from being me? That's a loaded question, isn't it? But think about it, especially in today's society, where we all crave to be individuals, but yet we'll still succumb to look like everybody else. And sometimes when we're with our partner for so long, some of us will become more and more like our partners. We see it in the couples who look strangely alike, and we might confuse them for brother and sisters instead of husband and wife or a couple. And in the beginning, we may have fell in love with each other's individuality. The fact that they were so different, that they weren't like everybody else. They weren't like any of your ex-partners. And over time, this natural thing actually begins to happen. One person in the relationship will actually start to influence the other person. And then we start to become too much alike. And yes, this could probably create a peaceful existence within your relationship, but then what happens a couple of years down the line? We actually start to feel less connected to our partner because we are starting to feel like we're losing our sense of self. And the words we may use is we feel trapped, or we feel like we're in a box because of this relationship. The differences that we have in a relationship is actually the spark that keeps the relationship going. Too many couples want someone that's just like them. But why? Why do you want someone? Or why do you even want to be in a relationship with someone who's just like you? Because you don't want tension? Because you want someone who's agreeable? How fun would that be? You think if they're just like you, the marriage or the relationship is going to be easy. But I'll tell you, it won't be. Why? Because it's going to be that one thing. Doesn't matter how small it is, that one thing that the both of you are not going to agree on. And that smallest thing can either ruin your relationship or it can save your relationship. When a person feels claustrophobic, boxed in, trapped, I know they all mean the same thing. You have a feeling of wanting to escape. You will scratch, kick, bite, maybe even hurt somebody really bad just to get out. The first thing that you do is you're gonna blame the other person because it's easier. It's their fault you're trapped. It's their fault you feel claustrophobic. It's their fault that you wanna escape. And most of us have heard that phrase, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. I don't know myself anymore in this relationship. I've lost myself. And maybe your partner said that to you, or maybe you said it to them, that you can't be the person that they want you to be. So your only choice is to leave. And I want to ask you a question, and I want you to really think about it. What kind of partner would you be if you wanted your partner unhappy just so you can be comfortable? I want you to think about that for a minute. Because we do that sometimes. We may not want our partner to do a certain thing because of how it makes us feel, not how they'll feel about it. Now, I'm not talking about like something like addiction. That's a totally different thing. But I'm talking about maybe something simple. Maybe you don't want your spouse buying a certain car. Will that car break your pockets or break the family's pockets? No. Will that car do any damage to your relationship? Maybe, but I'm gonna say no. You may not want your partner driving a particular car because your ex-boyfriend or your ex-girlfriend drove that car. And that's not fair to your partner. It could have been their dream car. It could have been something that they've wanted since they were children. But because of how you feel about it, you don't want your spouse to have that car. Is that fair? When we begin to feel boxed in or trapped in a relationship, it is because we stopped doing the things that made us happy. And we focused more on doing the things that made our partner happy. Making your partner happy is not a bad thing. But in my opinion, it is a bad thing when you have to sacrifice your own happiness for someone else's. That's not okay. Because I always say, if you're not okay, nobody's gonna be okay. Your kids won't be okay. Your partner won't be okay because you're not okay. You have to take care of yourself first before you can properly take care of someone else. I know that we have to compromise in a relationship, and there's nothing wrong with compromise, of course. But there is a thing of compromising too much. And you don't realize that you're starting to give up the person that you are. And I'm gonna tell you something. It is not your spouse's fault. It's yours. And some of you are not gonna wanna hear that. Some of you are probably gonna either unsubscribe from my channel or turn off this video. That's fine. You don't wanna hear the truth? That's okay with me. Go to somebody that's gonna lie to you. You chose to give up that piece of you because you wanted to make someone else happy. But what about your own happiness? Because are you happy now? No, especially if you are thinking about getting out of your marriage. Are you happy? And some of you probably even started to rationalize why you might not like that thing anymore. So let's say you like reading. This is something really simple. You love picking up a good book. You love the smell of the book. You love the look of the book. You like holding the book in your hand. But because you have a family, because you have a job, because you're busy, as we all like to say, you tell yourself that either you don't like reading anymore or you don't have time for reading. Because everybody needs your time. Your kids needs and wants your time. Your spouse needs and wants your time. Your work needs and wants your time. So what's the one thing that you can sacrifice? Reading. And because you stop doing that thing that you love to do, you're going to begin to resent your family, to resent your spouse, maybe even resent your job because you're not doing the things that make you happy. Maybe you need to let your family know, like, look, I need some me time. Even if it's one day out of the week, I need some me time. I just want to sit somewhere quiet, even if it's in your car, if you go to a park, somewhere where your spouse and your kids are just not around, and read. We all need that time. We all need that space. And you can change reading to anything that you miss doing. When we push things away that actually mean something to us, and we don't let our spouse know how we feel, it's almost like we begin to edit our life for our spouse. We may begin to walk on eggshells and do things just to not piss our partner off. But what does that do to you? Who does that begin to turn you into? Listen, I know we want the best for our partners and ourselves. We should want that. We should want them to reach their full potential. But in all honesty, we are afraid to lose our partner. The partner that's staying at home taking care of the kids. The partner that's working at a job that they hate, but they make 6 figures or more. And maybe you guys are living this luxurious life, or what you view is this luxurious life. The partner that put you before their own needs. And you may say that you want the best for your spouse. But if you keep asking, well, if you do this, how will we do that? Meaning the spouse that hates his job and wants to quit, but you don't want your partner to quit. Why? Because they're making 6 figures. Or the spouse who loves her kids, but she doesn't want to stay home with them. She wants to get her own job, but you don't want her to get a job because why? It's convenient. You don't have to pay for daycare. So if you want the best for your spouse, why are you stopping your spouse from being great? You may think change is going to derail your marriage and your life. You want to keep everything the same. You want to keep everything as it is because it's been that way. It's easy. You don't have to try to figure things out because it's been the same way, maybe for years. But allowing your relationship to change will allow it to grow. And I think that's why marriages, I haven't been married to my husband for 30, 40 years, but I think that's why even those relationships give up or they get divorced after that long of being with each other. There was no change within the relationship. It got stale. Somebody got bored and they figured anything is better than this. Doing what we need for ourselves while also caring for others. It's not easy. Who said life was easy? But we have to be willing to understand each other's differences instead of fighting against it. You don't have to lose yourself in your relationship. If you are the partner that loves control, you need to control everything. You need to give up that control. Allow your spouse to take control. Maybe let them take control for a day and see what happens. See what happens for your relationship. Maybe see what happens with you. You might realize that you don't even like being in control that much. Some of you might try to find the solution to your difference. If you and your spouse may not agree on something, or because they may not like something that you like, you'll try to come up with, well, how can I get them to like what I like? You don't have to do that. You don't. All you have to do is understand. Just understand where your spouse is coming from. Be supportive. That's it.